Hi everyone, my name is Maddie, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where, as you've seen from the title, I am going to be attempting to read for 24 hours. This is not new, this is not original, loads of people have done this. 24-hour reading vlogs were a thing back when I used to do YouTube. They've evolved a lot over the last year to be less of a read for an entire day, but more see how much you can actually read in those number of hours and spread it out. And that is definitely more my style. I love a really intense reading day. I don't do well with no sleep, so I would always just do it as like 16 hours really, but this is quite a fun way of actually trying to challenge yourself to read for that sheer large number of hours over a relatively long compared time period. And I used to do something like this, which is a readathon that used to exist called 25 in 5, where you read 5 hours a day for 5 days. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I found it incredibly challenging focusing for 5 hours a day on reading. So tell me why I'm about to try and focus for 12 hours a day. This is a bad idea, but I have very good friends, Christy in India, who did one of these a while ago on a weekend I didn't happen to be free, and we're doing it again this weekend where we all happened to be free on the same weekend, which, to be frank, never happens. Getting 3 of us for one evening around together is near impossible. An entire weekend we're all free, madness. So we're making the most of it and we are all doing a 24 in 48, so read for a total of 24 hours over 48 hours. And yeah, we're starting very, very soon. We're starting at midday today because I think all of us just needed like a bit of a slow start. We're tired from the week. I needed to do some cleaning and some errands. It needed to happen, so we're starting a little bit later, meaning we're going to have to go quite late tonight, but that's fine. In terms of read for 12 hours, I'm going to have a timer set for 24 hours, which I'll set up in a little bit, which I will start and basically keep going anytime I'm reading. I am going to ask Christy in India for advice on when to and not to stop it. So for example, if I go make a quick meal, am I going to stop my timer? Probably not, because otherwise this becomes absolutely impossible to do in 2 days. Like, it's not possible, especially if we're starting at 12. So we're going to kick off very soon, but I thought before we got started, I'd tell you a little bit about what I'm intending to read. Now, the first thing I will say on this is I could not be more indecisive about what I want to read right now. I genuinely have no idea. I have an entire stack of books next to me, which I'll talk you through, and only one of them am I like sure I'm going to read, and I think it's going to be the one I start with. I have thrown around the idea of let Dart Attack choose all my reads. Use my prompts from Dart Attack this month to choose my reads. Let Instagram choose my reads. Let people... I don't know what I want to read, okay? But I'm also scared if I let other people choose, will I want to read those or will I get in a slump halfway through this? So the indecision is real, but we're gonna give it a good go. So I'm going to talk you through the books I've got, talk you through the logic, and we will see if I read any of these books over the next 24 to 48 hours. So this is the stack, and basically what this is 4 books I've bought in like the last week, and therefore I'm excited for them, and some of them I actually bought kind of specifically for this weekend, so it feels like a good opportunity to try and get through some of those. One I bought a while ago that's really catching my eye, and a book I need to reread, which could also be quite a good like chunky but doable in 24 hours read. So I am pretty damn certain to start with I'm not going to get through 6 books of this size. Like, this is too much for 2 days. So that starting point, that won't happen. The one I am very certain I want to read is Open Throat by Henry Hoke, which is very satisfying to say. This I bought last weekend in preparation for this readathon. It came out last Thursday and I got a cute little signed copy from Book Bar in London, my favourite bookshop up in North London. And I'm just going to read you the blurb because that will tell you like why I wanted to read this book. I've never eaten a person, but today I might. A queer and dangerously hungry mountain lion lives in the drought-devastated land under the Hollywood sign. Lonely and fascinated by the voices around them, the lion spends their day protecting a nearby homeless encampment, observing hikers complain about their trauma and, in quiet moments, grappling with the complexities of their own identity. When a man-made fire engulfs the encampment, the lion is forced from the hills down into the city the hikers called LA, As they confront a carousel of temptations and threats, the line takes us on a tour that spans the cruel inequalities of Los Angeles. But even when salvation finally seems within reach, they are forced to face down the ultimate question. Do they want to eat a person or become one? Feral and vulnerable, profound and playful, open-throated, universal journey through a wondrous and menacing world. This is a marvellous storytelling that brings the mythic to life. It's also not got a lot on a page. It's almost like slightly poetic, weird. I read the blurb and I was like, I need this book. I don't know what it's about, but I need it. It's a queer mountain lion. I'm so intrigued. So that is probably where I'm going to start, and probably the only one I'm dead set on reading. The book I've had for a while is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang, which sounds like a kind of dystopian story. So it follows a musician that's like really acclaimed and then somehow gets into a world of like needing loads of cosmetic changes, and you kind of get into the underbellies of like what's wrong with society. It sounds super interesting. It's like a good length for this sort of readathon of around 300 pages, I think, 250. So like chunky enough. Like I personally don't want to just fly through like loads of novellas or loads of manga. I do want to read some books as well to mix it up. And so this feels like a really good option for that. A Darker Shade of Magic. We all know this book. I just recently got, and I spoke about in my TBR, Threads of Power, which is the kind of fourth book / first book in a new trilogy following this. So I've been wanting to reread this entire trilogy, but this comes out very, very soon, so I need to get on with it. And again, I remember finding these really quite easy to read when I first read them. It's like 400 pages, but when I first read this series, I swear I read each book in a day or two, so could be a good option at least to get started on. And then I suppose the mini haul. What are the books I've read recently that I want to read for this? So the first is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. It is safe to say I've heard about T. Kingfisher so much in the past 6 months to a year, it's actually ridiculous. But I've considered picking them up, all the books, like this one especially, because a lot of people that like the same books as me like them. It's compared to like Alex E. Harrow and Erin Morgan's. It's given vibes that are similar to a lot of things I like, so it felt like the sort of thing I'd love, but I've never quite got around to it until Clara from Unclarable, who I will tag and link below, was doing a video of short books that like they would recommend, and this was one of them. And I didn't know this was the book they were talking about. I watch a lot of YouTube whilst I'm doing chores, so every so often I'll like miss a bit of what they say. And I just heard them describing this autistic coded princess that goes on a quest. I can't remember what else they said. I will link the video and the timestamp for talking about this book down below so you can go watch their recommendation of it. And I instantly was like, whoa, what book are you talking about? I need it. And I went and found it and got it. For context, I thought this book was like 120 pages. It's not. It's like 300 pages, at least. 320. So I was wrong, but it's still doable. Again, not all of these, but some of them are doable. So Nettle and Bone is on the list. I will give you more of a blurb if I actually come to it, but watch Clara's recommendation, watch Clara in general, but that's on the list. I'm realising this is a very long first clip, so we're going to rattle through the last two, which are Bellies by Nicola Dinnan. This is queer, and I think it follows a male gay couple, but then one of them transitions, and it like follows that journey of how that impacts them, and it's like young queer people, and it's meant to be amazing. I want to read it, Book Bar recommended it, so of course I need it. And The List. This, I don't know how I feel about this cover. Part of me loves it, part of me kind of hates it. I just kind of wish it didn't have the emoji, but it's on vibes. And this follows a woman who's like one of the first, she's like a journalist, I think, and she's one of the first to slap down misogynistic people that get accused of things, and, you know, circulates lists to help protect women, of men to watch out for, etc., etc. And then her partner ends up on one of these lists, and she sort of has to figure out why and how she feels about it and what she's going to do about it. So it sounds super interesting. It is a bit longer, it's 350 pages, but definitely feels like one that would be very, very gripping and possible to just whip through in a day. So if I were to read all of these, that would be like 1,800 pages, which is not happening in 2 days. The goal is 1,000 for me. 1,000 pages of actual book would be great. And then I'm certain I'll be picking up some manga when I get low on energy at points and want something quick to whip through before carrying on. I've got Last Gender, Fangs, Black or White, Spy Family. I've got loads on the go. I've got Orange, a chunkier manga as well. Loads on the go, loads of options, but I'm sure I'll be picking up some of those as well along the way, but I have not decided what yet. I always pick up manga in an unplanned fashion of what catches my eye right this second. Oh my god, literally we're starting in 10 minutes with Open Throat by Henry Hoke. Wish me luck. I'm so scared. I'm so tired from work, but I'm gonna give this a good go. And if I fail, I fail. It's still good fun to just hang out with Christy in India for 2 days. Are we going?
Okay. Yes. Enjoy.
Bye. Quick update, we are just a couple minutes shy of an hour done, and I've just finished my first book. Hey, I knew this would be a quick read because it's like 150 pages, and you know, this is the amount of text on each page. So I knew it'd be quick, but I didn't think it'd be quick enough to read in an hour. So really enjoying having a quick win at the start, feeling very accomplished that a book is done, and feeling more ready now to like dive into something a bit bigger. I needed something easy to get me started, so this was perfect. This was so interesting, like so interesting. I really enjoyed it. It's all from the perspective of this lion who's just like grappling with some things like identity and who he is, and it was just intriguing. Honestly, I think it's probably meant to be like super insightful and super impactful, which I didn't necessarily get, but it was really enjoyable and very interesting, so very glad to have read it. There is 1 minute until this sprint ends. We're doing hour-long sprints with ideally sort of 5-minute gaps in between, something like that. And I don't know what I'm reading next. And I think my plan is to show this stack to Christy and Ninja. I've already shown them, but show them again. And basically, they're going to choose. I really don't know which one I want to read. So I'm going to let them just entirely choose, I think. And then we'll see how we go. So let's see what they pick. So what am I reading next, lads?
Do you have any preference, or?
I don't think so. Okay, no, I probably do, but I kind of just want you to choose. The only thing I'd say is I'll probably read this with you tomorrow, Christy, if you end up getting to it. Is maybe the one thing.
I have 2 that are jumping out at me.
Okay, what are the 2?
A Darker Shade of Magic and is it Nettlebone?
Yeah, Nettle and Bone. Okay.
Darker Shade of Magic is to reread. Well, go for Nettlebone. Go for Nettlebone if you want to read Nettlebone.
I feel like it's too early in the weekend for a reread. Does that make sense? I feel like while I've got energy.
Okay, Nettlebone then.
Okay. You kind of chose. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna pretend. Close enough. So, as you just saw, Christy and Ninja have chosen my next read. Near enough. They didn't go with Dark Shade of Magic, but their logic was it being a reread, and my brain is doing the logic of a reread of something I need to do, and I have a bit less energy like later in the weekend, so I have gone with the other option they chose, which is Nettle and Bone. Close enough. We're just doing this for fun. Okay, that lighting is a touch better. So reading Nettle and Bone, we've just started the second sprint. As I said, I'm reading this. I mean, everyone and the mother has been reading this recently. Jade's loved it. I think Ashley's loved it. I think Steph's loved it. Everyone's loving T. Kingfisher, but Clara from Unclarables is the reason I'm picking it up. Also, it is blurbed by Shauna Maguire and Alex E. Harrow, which feels very promising. So I'm going to read you the blurb and then I'm going to go give it a go. I'm a bit scared of this. This is proper fantasy. It's 300 pages. Scary. But, blurb. After years of seeing her sisters suffer at the hands of an abusive prince, Mara, the shy, convent-raised third-born daughter, has finally realised that no one is coming to their rescue. No one except for Mara herself. Seeking help from a powerful grave witch, Mara is offered the tools to kill a prince, if she can complete 3 impossible tasks. But, as is the way in tales of princes, witches and daughters, the impossible is only the beginning. On her quest, Mara is joined by the Grave Witch, a reluctant fairy godmother, a strapping former knight, and a chicken possessed by a demon. Together, the 5 of them intend to be the hand that closes around the throat of the prince and frees Mara's family and their kingdom from its tyrannous ruler at last. Shauna Maguire has said a unique voice in fantasy, this book is a modern classic, and Alex E. Harrow has said it's funny, frightening, and full of heart. I loved it. I feel like I could love this book. I'm just a little bit scared of proper, like, medieval style fantasy, so let's give it a go. my hair is not behaving. But quick Nettle and Bone update. I am 196 pages out of about 320. So hoping to finish this in the next couple of hours, should do. I'm slowing down a little bit. I'm getting really tired, so I'm going to take 10 minutes to go like jump up and down and wake myself up for a little bit. Also not been helped by the fact that it's really, really just cold because the weather is so grim, and I have my windows open all the time because it's been summer and it's nice to get some air in, and it was a mistake. It was really, really cold and I got really chilly, so I got into bed to warm up, but that made me sleepy. So I'm going to get up, move around, get some energy going again, and then come back and try and finish this in the next couple of sprints. Thoughts so far? I'm really enjoying it, but not as much as I anticipated. Like, I like the characters and I like what's happening, but it doesn't feel like very much is happening, and I don't need a big plot. But maybe because I'm tired today, I'm not like appreciating like particularly gorgeous writing or anything like hugely introspective. Like, there's moments, but not a huge amount. So given how little plot is happening, it almost feels like it's missing something, and it's feeling very slow, which is a bit of a shame. So enjoying, not loving, which is a shame because I thought this could be like a 5-star for me, but nonetheless I'll finish it in the next couple of hours, and then who knows what I'm reading next. Currently almost 8 p.m. and I still somehow have over 17 hours left. I've been pausing the timer a few times and I'm now regretting that decision. And I mean just pausing it like when I'm doing stuff that's not reading, but I think I need to be a little bit more lax because otherwise I'm not going to get this done by end of tomorrow. But it's fine. I've probably got another 4 hours of reading in me today, which takes me to 13 hours, which I can definitely do tomorrow if I need to. So where am I up to? I have read Nettle and Bone. I finished this. Overall rating I think is probably like a 4-star, maybe a 3.5, which is a little bit disappointing. I really enjoyed the characters, I really enjoyed the story. It just didn't grab me in the way I hoped it would, which was a bit of a shame. But I did like it, and I'd be interested in reading more T. Kingfisher in the future. It just didn't do for me what I had anticipated it doing. And then before I picked up my next book, I was thinking that I wanted to pick up something really quick, get that like sense of accomplishment. So I picked up Killing and Dying, which is an anthology of short stories in graphic novel format. So it's 6 graphic novel short stories. And I picked this up at a bookshop called Book Bar in North London, which is a shop I love, and I take loads of staff recommendations there. And I didn't actually pick this one up because of a staff recommendation, but when I went to pay, one of the staff there was like, oh my god, I love this, it's so good. I'm really unconvinced. I've read 3 of the stories. One of them was pretty good. The other 2 I've kind of slightly hated. So I'm not going to continue this right now, but considering I can probably finish it in half an hour, I will finish it before the end of the 48 hours just for the sake of reading it. But not feeling it so far. We've currently had a story of a guy that like tries to make a new style of art, but is in fact just a dick to his wife and everyone around him. We've had a story which is quite interesting about a woman that looks exactly like a porn star and like what she deals with in basically being mistakenly identified and how people treat her, and then she ends up meeting the porn star and they like connect, and it just that was actually really interesting and really nicely done. And then we've had a story about a slightly abusive guy that meets someone at Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or something, and they like get together, but he's clearly abusive, and then gets arrested at the end. Like, not vibes. So, putting that one down for now, because I don't really want to keep reading it. And I am going to be picking up Natural Beauty. I will insert a screenshot here. For this one, asked my mum what I should pick up next. I'm in general, I think, going to try and have a different way of picking each book I read. So India and Christy picked one, my mum's picked one. I was trying to mix it up a bit, and my mum chose Natural Beauty, which I'm thrilled about because it is the one of the 4 that was still on my original TBR that I really, really wanted to read. And I'll read you the blurb of this quickly, and then I'm going to go and try and get straight into it, because if I really get on with it, I think I might be able to read this tonight, depending on how easy or difficult to read it is, which I obviously don't know yet. So the blurb for this: sly, surprising and razor sharp, Natural Beauty follows a young musician into an elite beauty-obsessed world where perfection comes at a staggering cost. Our narrator produces a sound from the piano no one else at the conservatory can. She employs a technique she learned from her parents, also talented musicians, who fled China in the wake of the Cultural Revolution. But when an accident leaves her parents debilitated, she abandons her future for a job at a high-end beauty and wellness shop in New York City. The store, Holistic, is known for its remarkable products and procedures, from remoras that suck out cheap Botox to eyelash extensions made of spider silk, and her new job affords her entry into a world of privilege and gives her a long-awaited sense of belonging. She becomes transfixed by Helen, the niece of Holistic's charismatic owner, and the two strike up a friendship that hazily veers into more. All the while, our narrator is plied with products that slim her thighs, smooth her skin and lighten her hair, but beneath these creams and tinctures lies something more sinister. A piercing, darkly funny debut, Natural Beauty explores questions of consumerism, self-worth, race and identity, and leaves readers with a shocking and unsettling truth. It sounds like a great read. I'm very excited to give it a go. I think we've got maybe 40 minutes left of this current sprint. Yeah, 37 minutes. Let's see how much I can get done. It is 11:15. My timer is down to 14 hours and I have about 65 pages left in Natural Beauty. So plan as it stands is get this finished probably by about midnight and then go to sleep with just over 13 hours left for tomorrow, and then just start a lot earlier tomorrow. And to be honest, if I don't make it to 24 hours and I've read like 4 books, I really do not care. This is like a challenge to read more, focus on reading, see if I can focus for this long, see what I can achieve. Like, if I don't do it all, I don't care. But to tell you about Natural Beauty quickly, oh my god, I am obsessed with this book. So this was not like a book I knew about and like went and tried to get. This was 100%, I was in Forbidden Planet, I thought the cover looked cool and I picked it up and it was floppy and I read the blurb and was like, yeah right, that sounds intriguing, why not? And best decision I've made. This is incredible. Oh my god, I don't even know where to start with it. It is slightly dystopian, it's a bit bizarre, you don't really know what's happening, but there's also just so many amazing and interesting characters and interesting plot lines, and there's a big focus on music, which obviously I always love, and a big focus on like what is beauty and what do we expect of people and how people kind of try and fit. It's so good. I'm gonna try and think of some books that give similar. What the hell was that flash? I'm gonna try and think of some books that give similar vibes, but I think I'm gonna struggle because I want to find a way of convincing people to pick this up because it is genuinely incredible. Like, if you take anything from this vlog, it's to go buy and read Natural Beauty. I am loving it. So I'm gonna go finish it, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. And I'm probably gonna put up an Instagram poll about what I should read tomorrow, because I'm being wildly indecisive. I have a couple options, mainly the list and bellies, which I can't show you because you're sat on top of them at the moment. But both of those are really chunky, and I just flicked through bellies and there are so many words on a page, so both of those would probably be like 8-hour reads or nearing that. So I'm deciding whether I'm going to have the brain capacity for that tomorrow or whether I want something a bit easier. So I might put up a couple polls, like one of those 2 books, each one of those 2 I should prioritise, and then I might put another one up for either like novellas or quicker reads or something, and then see how I'm feeling in the morning. But I will probably update you when I'm up and about in the morning. Unlikely when I finish Natural Beauty, because I'm going to crawl into bed and curl up, and then the second I'm done with that I'm going to put it down and go straight to sleep. So I will chat to you in the morning, and hopefully by that point I'll know what I'm reading next. Good morning. It is 9:30 a.m. I am up, I am showered, I have had breakfast, we're ready to read. I did not get as much sleep last night as would have been ideal given the... What is my hair normally looks good wet, but it's looking ridiculous. You know what? It's the middle of a 24-hour readathon. It wouldn't make sense if I wasn't looking an absolute mess right now, so we're gonna carry on. Even though it's really annoying me and I can just see it in the viewfinder. Okay, there's apparently no salvaging it. I got to bed a lot later than I intended last night. I pratted about for about an hour before sitting down to finish Natural Beauty, which meant I finished closer to 1 a.m. than midnight, which was not the plan. But I did finish Natural Beauty. This is like such a solid 5-star read for me. I loved this. In terms of like comps that I've mentioned I'd try and do, the first one that comes to mind for me is Uglies. I've not read Uglies by Scott Westerfeld, but from the blurb of that, I get the feeling this is like a very adult version of it. I did come up with something else which I now can't remember, but the one I would say is for the last 50, 100-ish, I don't even know where it started, pages, I would compare this quite significantly to the OA, the TV show on Netflix, if anyone's seen it, especially in levels of like creep. This got way creepier and uneasy and almost thrillery than I expected. I loved it. It was great. Very unexpected. Also, huge trigger warning for sexual abuse. Just be aware of that. I'm sure there's other trigger warnings in here, but that's the one that really stood out to me. Just be very, very aware of the content in here, like on page, before you read it, because I certainly hadn't seen that coming, so it caught me off guard, and luckily it's not something that bothers me, but one to be aware of. But oh my god, I love this book. If you want a book that comments on society and how we view things and abuse of power and just, so many, it's so good. Read this book, please. I loved it. But anyway, today, what is the plan? Actually, let's do a midway tally. I say midway, I've got 13 hours left, but let's do a tally for where we're up to so far. So far I've read 3 full books and half of a graphic novel, so we're going well. I haven't added up the pages to that and I can't be bothered right now, but that's how far I am through the graphic novel. And my plan for today is just get this finished. I'm not loving it, but I want to get it done and see what I end up rating it, because it's currently sat at like a 2-star, but we'll see. Maybe the next 3 stories will be great. So get that finished, and then I put some polls up on my Instagram story last night to help get you to choose which books I wanted to read today, because I was being really indecisive, shock horror, and there is no guarantee I'm going to stick to them or I'm going to read all those books because I listed quite a few, but let's talk through what has won and then my plan for the day. So I did 3 polls, the first of which was a recently hauled book, which I put Bellies and the list against each other, and the list has won, which I'm not mad at, because although it's like 350, 60 pages, there's not a lot of text on a page, and I think it's going to be quite gripping, whereas Bellies maybe a bit shorter, but oh my god, it is just like a wall of text. Like, I want to read this, but I don't think it'd be the one for the day. I then put up a novella poll, which was Binti and The Seventh Perfection, which Binti has won, which is kind of great, because although I do want to read this a lot, I'm slightly less excited for it, plus Binti is really, really tiny, so that could be a really interesting one to try and get through, and it's one I've owned for years. And then I put up one for rereads, which was A Darker Shade of Magic versus Loveless. I really do want to read A Darker Shade of Magic soon, and I do need to get to it, but I was wondering whether it may have not been the best choice for this readathon, and You'll came through, Loveless has won, which I've wanted to reread for ages, because I love it a lot. And then in Heartstopper Season 2, you see this in the background a couple times of some poignant scenes, and it made me want to reread it even more, so kind of perfect timing. So if I were to follow the polls, my reads for today would be Loveless, The List, and Binti. Will I get through all of these? I've no idea. I think my plan is finish Killing and Dying, and then I'm probably going to give The List a go. I know Christy tried this yesterday and didn't love it, so there is a chance I will do the same, but I think I might give that one a go, see if I can whip through that this morning. And then probably Binti and then probably Loveless. We'll see how it goes. But either way, I need to get on if I don't want to be doing this really late into the night, because I'm already going to be doing it till 10:30 if I don't pause the timer at all. So time to get on with it. Christy in India. India's busy this morning, so I'll probably back on this afternoon. Christy, I think hit a bit of a wall yesterday. And so she's planning to continue today, but do it slightly less intensely. So she and I are going to jump on sprints in a little bit. But I'm going to go get started and I'll check in with you. I don't know when. Hi, hello. It is 2 o'clock almost. I have just under 9 hours left. We're getting there. Reading update for you. I have been reading The List. I did finish Killing and Dying, and I liked the last 3 stories significantly more than the first 3. But I think the entire thing was gonna get max a 3-star for me, if not a 2. Undecided, but it just didn't hit for me. And I'm now reading The List, which unfortunately is also not doing it for me. So I am 186 pages in, so I've just got past the halfway mark. It's about 380. 370, so I'm like 360, so yeah, I'm about halfway basically. And is it wrong to say I'm bored? I'm not even necessarily bored, but my reflection on this book is, in the first 120 pages, I was like, everything that I wanted to happen in this book has happened. So what's the next 240 pages gonna do? And I've read another 60, and I'm still not really sure what the next 200 pages are going to do, to be honest. So I am debating putting it down. I'm going to go make some lunch, so I think I'm going to like try and skim through some more whilst I cook and eat and see how I'm going. I might still DNF it. I might just try and get it done, because it's not bad, but it's not good. Like, this is the most 2.5 to 3-star book to ever exist. It is run-of-the-mill, it's not exciting, it's not, it's a really interesting concept, and it did some really interesting stuff at the beginning, and now I just feel like we're going over the same points again and again and again, and they're just slightly teasing the like, but did he do it? And like, that's not really the point, whether he did it. Like, yes, it's having some interesting discussions about being falsely accused and how people respond to situations when it's someone they know versus someone they don't, and like, that's the conversations I wanted to have, but I feel like we've had quite a lot of those without any real conclusions, and the result of it is the conversation's feeling a bit pointless. I don't know, I can't quite explain why. This should be a book I love, and it's just not doing it for me, so I'm gonna try and skim through it and see where we get to, but a bit of a flop, and I'm gonna see if I can try and read something else today as well to perk me back up. Hello. It is 6 p.m. No, it's not. It's 5 p.m. and I have almost exactly 6 hours left on my timer. I've lost it. I have just finished The List. This did get a bit better, but it's a 3. It's a 3. It was fine. I'm glad to have read it. It's a 3-star for me. It didn't do a huge amount for me. It felt like the conversations that were had were addressing topics in quite a deep way, but I wasn't feeling it. It didn't feel like any of the points really landed with me, so it all ended up feeling quite surface level, personally, which was a little bit disappointing. So, 3-star. I didn't really care about most of the characters, and I didn't really care about any of them until very near the end. It didn't do a huge amount for me, which was really disappointing. 3-star, it was fine. If I was being really harsh, I could probably give it a 2, but I think it deserves a 3 given some of the topics it raised, but I now don't know what to read. I'm really, really undecided. The plan was to read Loveless. This was going to be my plan, but I have just under 6 hours left. And I just checked, and this book, this one is 400 pages, and the text is tiny. And I'm now very unconvinced that I'm going to be able to read this in 6 hours. And obviously I don't have to finish something else today. I've finished 4 books and a graphic novel. But it would be nice to finish something else today. And you know, there's 1,000,001 books I want to read. So do I pick something I'm more likely to be able to finish? Because to read this one, I'd have to read 67 pages an hour for 6 hours. And that's not any breaks, that's not any chatting on sprints. I would have to be reading quick to finish this today, which feels unlikely. Like, I know it's a quick-ish read, but is it that quick? I don't know. But it's really good, and having just seen it featured in Heartstopper Season 2 and given the relevance, I am really tempted. I might just start it, and if I finish it 20 minutes after, then this was still a success beyond belief. I've already hit well over my 1,000-page target, ignoring the graphic novel. So anything is a bonus at this point. I'm just gonna give it a go. Why am I wasting time debating this? I want to read this. I love this book. I'm gonna read Loveless, and we'll see how far I get. Hello. It's nearly 11 p.m. Oh, you can't see that. It's nearly 11 p.m. As you can kind of see. I technically have 45 minutes left on my timer because I ended up on a phone call for a bit, so I paused it again. But I have just finished Loveless. I could have finished this like an hour ago, but I've been reading gradually slower and scrolling on my phone more, and I wasn't going to pause the timer whilst I was doing that because otherwise it was going to go past midnight. But I have finished Loveless. I'm so glad I reread this book. I cried my eyes out towards the end, as I remember doing the last time I read it. I love everything about this book. The friendships, the discovery, everything. But the theatre aspect is what breaks me as a human. I love it. I don't have the energy to talk about it anymore today, but I love it. And yes, I technically have 45 minutes left on my timer, but it is my bedtime. So honestly, I've paused it a few times when I shouldn't have. We're gonna call this a win. I will do a proper wrap up tomorrow, but for tonight I'm gonna shower and go the hell to sleep. But I will just very quickly show you the stack. Okay, I've had to move you off the stack because you were sat on top of it. However, I'll talk through them all properly tomorrow. But this is what I managed to read in the last 24 hours. 4 whole ass books, a graphic novel and a novella. I'm proud of that. That's impressive stuff. I could definitely, with the time I have left, read a manga or something, but honestly, I want to sleep, so I'm going to sleep. And I'll wrap this up another time, but success, and now into bed. Hello. It is about a week after I finished the readathon, but I never got around to wrapping up this video because I've been busy as hell at work since I woke up on Monday morning. So I thought I'd wrap it up quickly. I've just been editing it and it's going to go up later today. So I did it. I didn't read for the full 24 hours. I had breaks. I stopped early because it was like nearly midnight and I was so done. But nonetheless, 24 hours of reading across 2 days, and I read a hell of a lot. Over the span of 2 days, I read 4 books, a graphic novel and a sort of novella length book, which is quite a lot, and this totals up at 1,639 pages, which, and this is the crazy stat, if you divide that by supposedly how many hours I was reading, works out as 71 pages an hour. And given the fact that I, as I said, had breaks, didn't read all the way to the end, that's crazy that this averaged out 71 pages an hour. I mean, to be fair, Heartstopper pulled it up because that was like 100 pages an hour, and similar with Open Throat because that I read the entire 150-page book in the first hour-long sprint. So there's definitely things pulling up that average and things pulling it down. But nonetheless, I am so chuffed. In terms of ratings, I think what I've gone for is like a 4-star, a 3.5 star, 5-star, 2-star, 2.5 or 3, somewhere there, and then like this is one of my favourite books ever, like 5-star, it's Alice Oseman, we know, we love, we stan. So that was the weekend, that was the reading. I'm so proud. I'll probably do it again at some point in the future. I know India's planning to make this a really regular thing. Christy gave up. She was just like not having it on the Sunday. So she had a nice chill reading day and will not be having a video and gave up on the whole thing, which is very fair. I don't know whether I'll do it again. I think I would in the future. I don't think I'm going to make it a regular or often thing because it burnt me out a bit. I've not been able to pick up a book for like the last 4 days, but it was good fun. I could definitely be convinced to do like 12 hours in one day. I think 2 days was too much, but one really intense day reading like 2 or 3 books, really enjoyed that. So that's the video. It was a great time. I'm, I think, going to leave it there. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a clock emoji or like an hourglass emoji, something like that, in the comments to represent the ridiculous amount of time I've spent reading. Let me know if you would do something like this, if you have done something like this before, how did it go? And if you enjoyed watching, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, but that's it, so bye, and I'll see you in the next one.